All right, guys, welcome back into the 85. I am your host, Cole Kmet. We are back after a rather tough Sunday night deal, but we will get into that shortly. First, I want to tell you guys, please subscribe below. The channel's been growing, and I want to continue to grow this thing, so please subscribe below. Tell a friend. We're going to keep this content all year long, and I appreciate all the listeners recently. So it's been a lot of fun so far, and we want to keep this up. So, again, subscribe below. Tell a friend. Adam, how are we doing?
We're doing good. And the 85 is powered by Ankin Law. Injury law made personal. They're here to help. Visit ankinlaw.com to learn more. And part of the reason we're doing a lot better than Sunday is because you have some exciting stuff to announce here on this show right now.
Yeah, we got a new merch line coming out, so a lot of 85 stuff. You see the shirt that I got on right now, so we have a lot of cool merch just like this coming out in a little bit here. And so go check that out. We got a bunch of the proceeds will be going to Special Olympics Illinois, and if you guys have followed me over the past year or so, have worked very closely with them. It's a great group and great organization that I love working with. So proceeds will go to them as well, and as you can see on the screen, a lot of cool collection items, 85 deal, hats, shirts, polos, all that type of stuff. So cool stuff. Check it out. And Adam, you got the site on where they can go get that?
Yes, absolutely. It's store.allcitynetwork.com. It's basically with the rest of our CHGO stuff, but that collection is awesome. The golf apparel is outstanding, and so you can find it with the rest of the CHGO stuff, but the 85 collection specifically, portion of the proceeds going to Special Olympics Illinois, which you've been working with for a few years now.
Yeah, I've been working with them for a few years, and like I was just saying, great organization, and happy that we were able to do this, especially with the merch line coming out. So very excited about it.
A lot of guys behind the scenes working on that collection, and kind of months in the making. So it's good to see that out.
Months in the making.
And you're rocking it here on the show today as well. So make sure you go check that out. It is now available at store.allcitynetwork.com. All right. Well, let's start breaking down this game. I'll just leave let's just start with sort of an open forum wherever you want to start. Obviously, a tough loss. Good opponent, though. You guys were sure. And you guys still had the ball in the fourth quarter with the chance.
Yeah, I think it's tough when you leave games like that. And you felt like we had a lot of opportunities offensively to go win the game, and we just weren't able to get it done. But, again, you kind of look on it from these past 2 weeks. We're a 1-1 football team at this point. Played a really good opponent the other night in Houston. Obviously a playoff team last year, and I know that they have aspirations to go above and beyond where they ended up at the end of last year as well. But I think a tough game in terms of how it played out. Defense played really well through the most of the night, and was able to create a turnover there at the end to put us in position to get some more points. And I think again with us offensively, kind of just starts and ends with the run game. I think, and you're seeing that throughout the league right now. Passing's down across throughout the league. I don't know. We can maybe get into that a little bit later, which is kind of interesting. But the teams that are able to run the ball effectively, especially early on in the game, kind of can dictate time of possession, can dictate the clock, and really opens everything up else for them in the pass game. So we got to continue to get better at that. We got to be more efficient in the run game, and I think that'll help us out here going forward. But I don't think it's a game that you want to fully get discouraged by. Obviously offensively we have a lot of stuff that we need to get corrected and fixed up here, but I think you look at our team and we got a good football team. We got a good talented football team. That was a really good team that we played the other night. A game that I believe that we all think that we should have won. But there's a lot of room for growth for us here, especially offensively. And, as long as our defense and teams units, they keep playing the way they've been playing, we'll keep being put in really good positions there at the end of the game to go win it.
I don't want to excuse make for you guys, but from the outside perspective, it would be very understandable and easy to say, all right, new OC, rookie quarterback, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want it to look better than maybe it has offensively. Just one offensive touchdown, right?
Yeah.
For 2 games. You obviously want that number to be higher. But is that fair to say that, you guys are still working out the kinks here, given the obvious situation that's in front of everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a responsible outsider's way to look at it, for sure, and understanding that there's a lot of newness, especially on the offensive side right now, and we got a lot of things that we're still figuring out, obviously with the run game, obviously a new play caller, a new quarterback, and plenty of new players throughout the offense. So, yeah, that's definitely understandable from an outsider's perspective. I think from a guy in the building, I can say, and I don't think it's wrong to say, it hasn't been good enough the past 2 weeks, and we need to be better. So there's no shying away from that, and we've looked at the tape and we understand the things that we need to get better at. And obviously, us in the building, we are the only ones that really know that kind of what goes down on Sunday. And I'm sure there's narratives all around on who people want to blame and whatnot, but that's not how we go about it in the building. There's usually it's one person here, one person there, and you have those little mistakes throughout a game, especially on offense. They seem to compound and exacerbate themselves, and but there's a lot that we can get better at, and but I understand that outsider's perspective. But that being said, on the inside, we understand where we're at and who we got and what the situation is, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be better than what it's been right now.
One play I wanted to ask you about, because I know the fans have been asking about it a little bit. There was you had to kind of come across formation to make a block on Will Anderson, I believe, which is always,
on that 3rd and 1.
Yeah, which is a tough assignment.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously not knowing your playbook, to me, I was a little confused watching it live, because I'm like, he looks like he's run blocking, but Caleb's throwing. Like, what can you shed? What kind of light can you shed on that?
Yeah,
type
without
of situation?
I don't want to give too much of playbook stuff or anything, but yeah, I'm run blocking there, so it's a 3rd and 1 situation right there, and Caleb does have the option to hand it off to Swift, and if you watch Swift, he's getting ready to hit the hole, and while the offensive line, they're kind of in a run action form where, if Caleb does decide that he wants to throw it, obviously you can't have illegal men downfield. Now, I am not in that situation because I'm an eligible, so I can go downfield. So I don't have to really worry about, is my body across the line of scrimmage or not. So yeah, and without getting too much into detail about that, I'm run blocking there for Swift. Yeah, I'm not in pass protection mode, as you would say right there.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. And I feel like that's probably an example of the last question I asked you about, which is just like kind of having to work out some of this stuff for the first time.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know. We go through this every year. It always makes me laugh because the preseason always seems like it's so long. Yeah. And everybody just wants to see you guys play. Mm-hmm. And there's always that debate: should you guys play? Should you not play? And there's only so many certain reps. And it's just like the one thing that's always constant is the whole league looks completely different once you guys actually play football in week 1.
I want to continue to remind you guys, like when you guys go watch the preseason or like OTAs especially, or any of the preseason stuff, it's all really good work, and it's good for your technique and getting operation right, all that type of stuff. But it does not even closely resemble what you see in the regular season on Sunday. I'm sure you guys notice that as fans, or when you're just watching it as the game. Defensive coordinators are not going to be showing what they're going to show when it comes to regular season. So you're seeing different blitz packages, different fronts, different stunts that you may not see in the preseason work. You're getting very generic looks. And, that's why this is so hard, especially for a lot of new guys who are rookies coming in. And whether you're playing receiver, quarterback, you're on defense playing linebacker or in the back end in the secondary. There's just so many looks that you don't see during the preseason and during training camp that you're now going to be exposed to, because you got these offensive coordinators and these defensive coordinators who are now specifically game planning against you. And that's what makes this league so hard, but it's also what makes it so fun week in and week out. So, every week's a new opponent and it's a new challenge, and that's part of it. And you have to be able to adapt and adjust throughout the game as well.
So I always like to try to ask you questions that maybe weren't previously addressed, or maybe, maybe not everybody cares about. I just find it more interesting. Sure. When did you guys find out last week that the roof is going to be open there?
It's a good question. It was made such a big deal. On Thursday, we found out.
Okay.
Yeah. It was made I don't know why it was made such a big deal.
Well, I completely missed it, to be honest with you. I found out on our pregame show.
Okay. And why is that why do you feel like that's a big deal? I didn't think that was that.
Well, because wasn't it like 95? And
yeah, it was warm. But it was
reason why
warm
it's a
with
big
it
deal
closed
is
anyway.
they hadn't played a home game with the roof open in like 4 years or something like that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And I guess there was roof damage from the hurricane that went through, and so they're like forced to have it open. I completely missed it, and so I found out on the pregame that the roof was open, and I was like, really? Because it was
warm.
I mean, you guys practice outside all week, though.
Yeah, and it was warm throughout practice all week. Obviously not the same type of humidity as you get in Houston, but no, it was warm throughout the week of practice. So I think that helped us get ready for the game. But it was definitely a little hot in there. But when we initially walked in the stadium, the roof was closed, and it still felt a little bit warm. So, it was made a big deal throughout the week, even in the building a little bit, and I still didn't understand. I was like, is it going to be raining or something? Like, I didn't get why it was such a big deal. I mean, obviously with the elevated heat a little bit, I get that. But again, it's so hot in Houston, even when it was closed, it was still pretty warm in that building. But we found out on Thursday that they were going to have that roof open. So
do we overrate, and maybe even the coaches sometimes overrate the playing conditions?
A little bit. I think that's a little over. To me, that's overrated. Now, if it's gonna rain, like I want to know it's gonna rain. I'll do some wet ball drills. Like maybe you change your gloves if it's gonna be soaking wet. If you're on grass and it's raining, okay, maybe I'll switch to my 7 studs so I have better grip in the ground. But I don't think the roof being open in that regard was that big of a deal one way or the other. In my opinion, maybe people will disagree.
Let me ask you this then too. Because I agree with you that, and it's maybe the thing I've been most surprised about so far, the lack of production in the run game so far. Yeah. Because I feel like that's something you guys probably thought, regardless of rookie quarterback, whatever, you guys would be able to run the football. What's the biggest thing that you guys feel like you could fix? Maybe the easiest thing to fix, whatever you think it is, or the key to get that going pretty quickly here? Well,
I think it just takes all 11, and there's a few, and I know that sounds very coachy, and it is, but there was a few plays that we really just missed on, that we had the looks that we wanted, and whether it was one guy here being mispointed, going to the wrong to the wrong defensive player, or we just missed a block. There was a few plays here and there that really could have sprung. So it's encouraging when you look on the tape in that regard. Obviously, we got to be better in our execution from that standpoint. And then on other areas, communication just down the line of scrimmage, and that's relaying that to the receivers, because they need to, based on our points at the line of scrimmage, that's going to change who Rome or DJ or Keenan may have to block in a certain run scheme. So those are all things that we can be better at. But when you look back on the tape, I don't think it's a physical thing that we're lacking. It's more of just the execution and making sure all 11 are all on the same page, playing and play out. And I think when that happens, you'll see the run game start to take off a little bit more.
All right, well, we'll see if you guys can get that going.
Yes.
Well, for what it's worth, the Colts actually lead the league in rush yards allowed this season with 350.
We did see that. See that. Yes, that is part of the game plan there with the scouting report. So we did see that, and it's good for the Bears. So hopefully we can lean into that a little bit.
I was going to say that I believe the Packers ran the ball 20 times in the first half for 164 yards.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Insane. That's a lot of runs though for one half.
It's dictating the line of scrimmage right there.
Yeah, it was impressive. I was watching the game at noon. Since you guys had the night game, I watched most of that game at noon on Sunday before coming down here. All right, and we're going to kind of switch to that now, because our guest coming up is an Indianapolis Colt. Quick.
Yeah, kind of interesting deal. I know we've only had Bears players here so far, but I thought with us playing Indy this week, and I had a friend over on the Colts that I thought would be a cool and fun interview. So I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yep. So Alec Pierce, wide receiver from the Indianapolis Colts, who went to Glenbard West, local kid. And this is a new thing we're doing here. I like it.
Yeah, cool little switch up, I think. Yeah, cool little switch up, especially with the team that we're playing this week. All right, well, welcome him into the 85. My buddy Alec Pierce, wide receiver for your Indianapolis Colts. This is a preview for this weekend. Appreciate you coming on, my man. How's it going?
Yeah, I appreciate you, Cole. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been doing this podcast this year, and I did some stuff last year with these guys over on this channel. And all we've had so far are players on the Bears on. And when I saw that we were playing you guys this week, I was like, oh, let's change it up. Let's try and get a player from the other team to come on. So for people that may not know about you, a lot of Bears fans probably don't know much about you. Can you just give a little background, where you're from, hometown you grew up in, and where you ended up going to college?
Yeah, so I grew up in western suburbs of Chicago. Went from Glen Ellen, went to Glenbard West. Was part of some good football teams there, and then was able to get scholarship to go play at Cincinnati. So I've just been in the Midwest my whole life. And then honestly, I thought coming out of Cincinnati, I really thought the Bears they were showing a lot of interest. I thought like the Bears, Packers, or Colts were going to draft me, and Colts ended up drafting me. And I'm going on my third year here now. So it's been great being in Indianapolis. Like I said, super close to home, and just a great organization, great people here. So, but yeah, definitely the ties for me were to Chicago, and I have a ton of friends. They got my Colts jersey, but I know on Sundays they're really tuned in for that Bears game. And then it's kind of nice you guys are NFC and we're AFC, because I think people can kind of be fans of both, but we just so happen to play each other this year. So we'll see what they really got.
So did you grow up a Bears fan?
I actually did not. I did
really?
not.
So who did you grow up a fan of?
So I actually grew up a fan of the Packers.
Oh, no way. I didn't know this. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, my dad, which he's from Milwaukee. So
yeah.
Yeah, and we just got back playing from Lambo, and it was cool because I have a ton of family up there, a ton of cousins. And yeah, it was just like cool. Like honestly, that was one of the coolest games I've played in terms of like, I don't know why, but I think it's because I'd actually been to a game there before in my life. Because like I wasn't like emotional or anything ever, like my rookie year, like going to my first game, stuff like that. But like pulling up in the bus to Lambeau Field, something about it, like I was like it almost like made me emotional, man. I don't know why, but
I always say like when we go to Lambeau, and for us it's kind of taboo because it's the big rivalry for the Bears, but it is like the Mecca of football, and it is so cool to go visit there. And obviously they got a cool setup at Lambeau, and it is still, despite it being the Packers, still one of my favorite places to play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can imagine. I'm sure like those games for you guys are probably wild, because it was a crazy atmosphere there yesterday, and we just were a non-rivalry team coming in there. It's like I'm sure when you guys are there, it's wild.
Yeah, no, we've had some couple of fun games since I've been there. Some really cold games to end the season. I'll tell you that. It gets cold up there for sure. So you guys definitely put up there at a good time. So that's good for you guys.
I'm definitely glad we got him in September. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I heard it was pretty warm. Was it warm?
It was really hot. Like that was probably the most tired I've been in an NFL game. Like it was. I think it was got up to almost 90. And we were down, so we were doing a lot of basically 2-minute for the last like 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh, you definitely need to replenish after that game. That's
a lot of Pedialyte.
A lot of Pedialyte, that's for sure. Yeah. So going back to when you were coming out of high school, were you a highly recruited guy? How did you end up choosing Cincinnati? How did that all kind of pan out for you coming out of high school?
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily like the highest recruit. I really wanted to – I was a huge Big Ten fan. I really wanted to play in the Big Ten. That was like my goal. Both my parents played sports at Northwestern, so I was always a Northwestern fan because my dad played football there. And yeah, they tried to hit me with a walk-on offer, and I was kind of like, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I didn't really know what was going on with all the like recruit, like I didn't go to any camps going into my junior year, stuff like that. That was probably like what I needed to be doing and stuff. But it took me a little while. Like even my junior year, I think I probably started like by like the third or fourth game, because I'd played safety before and I changed to receiver. Like grew a bunch, so I was like kind of like too tall and awkward built to play safety, and they put me at receiver because I could always burn, and had a good junior year, had a good senior year, but got all the offers like after my junior year, and I think like I didn't have like any big time. It was like a lot of like Ivy League schools, like MAC schools and Ivy League schools. I feel like were really what recruited me, and like the service academies. But then like Cincinnati offered me, like I played out my senior year. I didn't want to commit to any of those schools, and I was really still kind of hoping for a Big Ten school, and Cincinnati offered me, and like I didn't know anything about it, but when I went there, it just felt like it had like a lot more, that compared to like Miami, Ohio, where I was leaning towards going, like it just felt like it had a lot higher ceiling and more potential there. So
that's awesome. And then when you finally got to Cincinnati, were you thinking NFL? How did that all kind of transpire? And were you there all 4 years?
Yeah, I went all 4 years.
Okay.
My freshman year, I didn't redshirt. I was like a big goal of mine. We played at the Rose Bowl with UCLA week 1. So like I said, being a Big Ten fan, yeah, like I wanted to go play in that game so bad. And so I kind of made that a goal of mine to make the travel squad. And I knew like I wasn't the highest recruit there or anything. Like I wasn't gonna be on that plane out there unless I was playing in the game. So I kind of leaned into special teams, and I became like a really good special teams player. I had a bunch of tackles, played gunner, all 4 phases. So that was my freshman year. I played 0, like I didn't have any catches on offense, just played all special teams, right? And then I was actually I don't know if it was that I was just not good at receiver or just they said it was because I was good at special teams, but it's actually our special teams coach at the Colts now, Brian Mason. He was like our special teams coach at Cincy, and he was our outside linebacker coach. So they switched me to outside linebacker, like nickel, basically, for the bowl practices. And it was, oh man, it was funny because it was like I'm out there 6'3", 205. I think I was like the tallest linebacker, the lightest linebacker probably, and I was like, passes were cool. Outside runs were cool, but like that inside zone, I was like that unblocked hat. I was basically like a nickel because I think we ran like just 3 linebackers then and like no nickels. Mm-hmm. So I was like the Sam linebacker out there over the slot, and I was like that unblocked defender all the time. Like had to go in there and tackle like a 240-pound running back, and that was not fun. But the rest was fun. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it. So then when did you finally realize, okay, I can make a living by doing this? Going to the NFL, and did you end up going to the combine or doing all that stuff? How did that whole process shake out for you?
Yeah, I went to, so like my sophomore year, I was kind of saved by my receiver coach. Like I said, they had me playing linebacker, and new receiver coach came in and they gave me an option, and I was kind of like, whatever, I can get on the field, and they were like, we're not going to decide your future for you. Like, you got to make a decision. So I knew like I wanted to play receiver. So I gave it a try with the new receiver coach, and he basically like completely changed my game. Like I was really raw, didn't have any, good technique or anything like that. And he just kind of worked it out for me. So sophomore year, I kind of broke out in like the preseason stuff, like spring ball and then like fall camp. And they were really leaning on me as a sophomore. I was probably like going into the season, the coaches are probably thinking I was like the number 1 receiver. And I think I led the team then, that year in like receiving and stuff like that, and then just kind of kept it going from there. And we, our coach was so good, we ended up, having guys like Tyler Scott, Trey Tucker.
Let's go.
Yeah. No, he brought in like a lot of guys and developed a lot of guys that were, like a year or 2 younger than me. So yeah, we just kind of kept on bringing in good guys, and then by my senior year, like we had a whole arsenal of weapons. So.
That's awesome. And then what has it been like, for you now being in the league, and we were talking about this prior to the recording starting, but you're being coached by one of the greatest receivers of all time in Indianapolis. What is that like, being coached by Reggie Wayne day in and day out? And what are some of the things that you've learned from him? And what was the initial adjustment like from, college to pros? I know from tight end, I experienced a lot of different things, but what has that adjustment been like for you making that transition early on in your career?
Yeah, no, it's been great learning from Reg. Like I said, like, he's just having a guy that's like actually done it before and like really can like live like the truth and tell you, like exactly what you need to do. Like it just makes you, like there's no doubt in your mind, like what he's telling you, is the right thing, right? Because you like, if he's gonna tell you, oh, right here, I'm gonna hit this release and like do this off the line, like. He's done that before. He's got open using that move before. So like it's definitely something where you're really then like gonna listen to exactly what he says and ask him questions, want to know more, like kind of have like wanting to learn everything you can from him to help your game. But for me as a receiver, like I think it was the first couple years they was interesting because like I said, I played a lot of winning football in high school and college. So when I came to the Colts my rookie year, we had a pretty bad year. We only ended up winning 4 games. And that was definitely different to me. So that really, I think it made that rookie year feel really long and tough. Like we had a coaching change. I caught passes from 3 different quarterbacks. And I think I really learned the importance of like chemistry with the quarterback, because I think like I was kind of doing well. We had Matt Ryan initially. I kind of started to build a relationship with Matt. It was doing well, and they changed him. And then you kind of go back to ground zero and you have to do the same thing with another quarterback. And that was definitely tough. And, we didn't win many games. So it definitely takes a lot of the fun out of football. Like winning is, makes things so much more fun. But, and then last year, we draft AR, expecting like big things out of him. He comes out, he has his flashes early in the season. We have some big games from him, but unfortunately he got injured. And then we had Gardner step in, and Gardner was he's a great leader, phenomenal leader. He did a great job. We almost made the playoffs. But like I said, it's just like the same thing. Like you build all this trust and relationship with the quarterback, and they change it up. So it's tough. We're hoping this year we can keep AR healthy and just keep on continuing to build that chemistry.
Yeah, I know. I've had to deal with that too as well since I've been in the league. I think it was, I forget what we counted last time. I think it was like 10 quarterbacks I've played with so far. So
you've caught from 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah, 10 different quarterbacks. So I mean, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. You see all the different guys that have really great success, and I'm sure obviously Reggie's one of them with Peyton Manning. But when you can stick with the guy and build that chemistry, it's such a big deal, and it is hard to kind of get that gel forming with a guy when you've only had so many months together with them, and it's important to kind of get that chemistry going as soon as you can, and hopefully you can hold it for as long as you can. So you were speaking about AR. I mean, obviously we saw the crazy throw he had to you the other week in week 1 off the back foot. Obviously it's evident to everybody he's a special talent by what you can see, what he does on the field, and some of the crazy YouTube videos. Honestly, I think I've seen him dunking a basketball. So what's he been like to be around? What's he like in the building every day? He seems like a really good leader and really good, teammate for you guys.
Yeah, no, like you said, great. Like he's a great leader, great teammate. Real, like he's pretty quiet, but like when you get to know him, like he's a funny guy. He's real humble, I'd say. And yeah, he just comes in every day working, looking to get better. And I know he's got a really close relationship with our coaching staff, head coach. Those guys are really working with him. We got a ton of guys who are kind of known to work with quarterbacks, so like he gets a lot of work with a lot of different coaches. But yeah, I'm excited for his future. He's so young too. Like honestly, he might be the youngest quarterback in the NFL or one of them.
He could be. I knew he was super young when he came out.
Yeah.
I think Caleb's 22. I don't know how old Anthony is.
I think he's 22. Yeah. So
when he came in the league, he came in the league young.
I think he was drafted at 20. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, that makes sense. And then just previewing this weekend, I know everyone's pretty excited. I think this is a cool matchup. I kind of like you were saying, 2 Midwest teams, one NFC, one AFC, and kind of a good travel game. Whether we're going down to Indianapolis, which we are this weekend, or if you guys were coming up to us, it's an easy travel weekend for the fans in the area. But I don't know if you've done any preview on our defense yet, but I like to think that we have a good back end, and we got some good guys up front. But what have you kind of seen from our guys? And obviously the marquee dudes being like Jalen Johnson, Montez Sweat up front. Our backers Tremaine and TJ Edwards are really great, and amongst all others. But what have you seen if you've been diving into the tape at all yet?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the tape yet. But we played you guys in the joint practice last year, so I got like a good kind of got to understand,
That's right.
some players, and I feel like from what I remember, like you said Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
Like he's a real good player. you guys had the other corner from Georgia. He was a rookie. Stevenson.
Tyreek Stevenson.
He played. I guess he played. He transferred somewhere, but I had played him in college when he was at Georgia. He's a good player too. Like I feel like he's like bigger and like pretty good length. Yeah. So I mean, I gotta get back in the film, but and those guys you said up front, you know, like those are. I guess I don't really go against those guys much, you know.
Yeah, right. No, you don't have to worry about them too much. I mean,
I was gonna say not that I was gonna say I'm not personally worried about them. Somebody will be worried about them, but that's
for
not.
Sure.
You know, I'm just hoping they don't get to the quarterback too fast, so I can get some time to get the ball thrown right. So, but yeah. No, how about you though? You got our guys back there at linebacker, man. They got the podcast themselves, so you could.
Yeah, no, I saw they were doing that. What was it? Zaire was doing that last year or something. Yeah, no, and like you said, when we saw you guys in joints last year, that was cool to kind of see another face at that point in camp. But obviously impressed with your linebacking core. You guys got good length up on the defensive front, and then obviously the back end. You guys got a couple good veterans there. That have been around the block for a little bit. So it'll be a cool match. I think these are always fun just because obviously, like you're saying, like we don't watch a lot of tape of you guys throughout the year just because it's an AFC, NFC deal.
Right.
But when you kind of get these matchups, it's cool to see maybe a little bit of a different players that you're going against. So it's a lot of fun. And, again, the Colts Bears matchup, what was it? Whatever in 2006, Super Bowl between the Bears and the Colts. Yeah. So it's always a little bit of a rematch there, and that was a game I grew up watching as a kid, and obviously rooting for the Bears there. I did grow up a Bears fan, so Devin Hester, the return,
opening kickoff, right?
Yeah, it was cool. So, Alec Pierce. So he is right. You're sixth in the league in receiving yards. Mm-hmm. You have 2 touchdowns, so you're off to a hot start here, which is awesome. We're gonna put that to a halt this weekend just for a moment, and then you can get back on track after you leave us. But I appreciate you coming on, my man. This has been a blast. It's good to see you. Wishing you nothing but the best. Stay healthy throughout the season, and after this, maybe you guys go win out, and we'll see you in the Super Bowl. How about that?
Appreciate you, man. You don't want to tell them about the golf matchup?
Oh, the golf match. Well,
we're 1-1 right now. I guess we're 1-1.
We are 1-1. Yeah, you're right. We should hit on that. I didn't want to speak about that because I lost the most previous version. But
but I forgot you did. As soon as I said that, I'm like, you knocked us out.
I did. So PA Classic, we my team versus your team. What was that? The semis.
Yeah, and we were the 1 seed. We were like
you guys were the 1 seed.
Might have been a fluke. But we were just. We couldn't be stopped. We went on a huge birdie streak. We got the 1 seed by far. Like, don't really know if we had the firepower to be the 1 seed. But, we took the 1 seed and we were happy with it. And but then we had to go and win in the playoffs then. And
we did upset you guys. I guess you could call it an upset. I don't even know if it technically was, but then so we beat you guys there, and then we ended up losing the championship. But we did beat your team, so that was a lot of fun. And then you got me back when we were at Chicago Golf, which was, a lot of fun. That's what a great place.
Shout out Barrett Carlson getting us out there.
Shout out to Barrett. That was a great time.
Awesome course, and that came down to the wire, I think, right?
It did. I couldn't figure out my driver to. I couldn't figure out my driver to start, and then I was like, screw it, I'm switching to I think I was just shooting my 4-iron off the tee. Yeah, and I started peppering fairways, and then we were doing pretty well there towards the back end. Yeah, you guys started
I think me and my dad got out like real hot, and then you guys probably in the middle 9 holes probably won. I don't know if we won any holes. You guys probably won 5 of them, and we pushed the other 4 or something, and just kind of by.
And then it started raining. Yeah, it started raining at the end, and then you guys pulled it off.
Well, I just remember I had my only ever eagle, and I'm on a legit course too. I'm like that was I kind of got.
I didn't believe that for a second. That was your first eagle ever.
First eagle ever, which I don't really know how. I probably have just smoked 10 eagle putts in my life. Not even.
Yeah.
I'll get like a 15-footer for eagle and just. Yeah, probably don't even birdie. Probably 3-putt par. Classic 3-putt par.
It breaks the other way. It breaks the other way. That's the issue.
Bomb it 20 feet past the hole. That's usually what happens. Get too excited.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I appreciate my man. I'll see you this weekend, and maybe we can hit up. I don't know. You guys do a jersey swap? How does that work?
Oh yeah, let's do it for sure. I got Tyler. I got Tyler too. I guess we'll just have to be sending out you guys a bunch.
Oh shit! All right, yeah. Sure. And if you got to hold off a week, we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
We'll get it done for sure.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Brother. Yeah, appreciate you.
The 85 of Cole Kmet is presented by Ankin Law. Howard Ankin is a third-generation lawyer in Chicago and has built one of the largest injury law firms in the state. Howard Ankin is a member of the Illinois State Bar Association, Illinois Trial Lawyers Association, the American Association for Justice in Washington, D.C., and president of the UIC Law Alumni Association. Ankin Law has over 90 attorneys and staff based in Chicago with offices right off of Dearborn in the city and also in Rosemont, Schaumburg, and Orland Park. The leading filer of workers' compensation and personal injury cases in Illinois, Ankin Law practices areas like auto, truck, and rideshare accidents, slip and fall premises liability, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, social security, disability, and wrongful death cases. When it comes to our commercials, the Ankin Law brand has been aligned with Chicago sports for over a decade. We especially like to associate ourselves with Chicago athletes long associated with Chicago or from Chicagoland, such as Io DeSumo, Nicky Lopez, and Chris Chelios. With an intake department of 16 people, including 2 attorneys, Ankin Law takes the time to listen to the people who contact us. Even if we don't sign the case, we try to steer the people who contact us in the right direction to help get the help they need. After all, Ankin Law is injury law made personal. They're here to help. Visit ankinlaw.com to learn more. And the 85 is also brought to you by Circa Sportsbook. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures are in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fun and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Fun interview there with Alec Pierce.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
And I happened to notice, because I mentioned earlier I was watching that Colts-Packers game, he did a Lambo Leap.
Yeah, well, now I didn't know that, and now knowing that he's a Packer fan, that had to be pretty cool for him.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll take the blame on that because you were working. I was watching football. I probably should have told you ahead of time that he had a Lambo Leap, but that makes more sense now that I know he's a Packer fan too. I liked how if you watch the play, he scores right away. He seemed to know exactly where the Colts fans were in the front row.
That's
like
good awareness.
It was planned.
That's good. Well, yeah. I've had a couple of times where I've scored, and there was one, I think it was against the Lions, where I caught, it was like a 50-yard touchdown pass, and I ran into the end zone, and my fiance and my brother were sitting right over there, but I didn't recognize it, and they were right in front of my face.
Oh, wow.
And so sure enough, there's a picture of me, like I'm holding up the ball, and like in the background they're like waving, staring at me, and I didn't even recognize them on the field. Yeah, I wish I would have like said hello or something, but when you're in the moment, you just don't even realize.
There's a lot of people in front of you.
A lot of people. So my point is very good awareness by Alec there to know that there's the 2 Colts fans probably throughout the whole stadium in that front row.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go Lambo Leap into them instead of getting beer thrown on me by a Packer fan.
I was gonna say, would you ever do a Lambo Leap?
No, I mean unless I knew that there was a cult of Bears fans somewhere, then I'd maybe do it, but definitely not into a Packer. I'll be reeking of beer the rest of the night. Yeah,
because that's what they do. You see it all the time. The opponent jumps in the stands, it's immediate beer shower.
Yeah, I don't want that. Not throughout the – maybe if it was closer to the end of the game, I'd do it, but definitely not early on.
Well, you guys think about it, because there are plenty of Bears fans that go to Lambeau. There will be a ton of Bears fans in Indy this weekend.
For sure.
There were a ton in Houston, too.
Mm-hmm. There was a good showing in Houston. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you hear them during the game? Because at one point we could hear through the television they were chanting, "Let's go Bears."
Yeah, we had when I forget what the first good thing it was early in the game that happened, and you kind of heard the crowd erupt. We're like, oh, there's some Bears fans in here. So that was really cool to see. Obviously, Bears fans always travel well, and me and Alec just mentioned in the interview how this is a pretty cool game for people in the Midwest, just because it's an easy game for people in Indianapolis to travel to Chicago if they're playing here, or for obviously people in Chicago to travel down to Indianapolis. It's a pretty easy drive both ways. So, it's definitely a cool little matchup here, and a rematch of the 2006 Super Bowl, as always.
Well, I was going to bring that up because you don't really think about the Bears and Colts necessarily being rivals, but I do remember during the Super Bowl, there were some really good stories that were done leading up to the game about like Northwest Indiana. Kind of you start going farther down to Indiana where it starts to blend between Bears and Colts fans, which makes sense because at some point, you know, a lot of Indiana still's basically Chicago, but I don't think there's any like true hatred between both of them because the AFC NFC deal, which I think is cool. Yeah. So I think if you're in Chicago, that's the AFC team that you could root for. It's not like Cubs Cardinals in the middle of Illinois.
Correct. Yeah. No, you can do that.
People get surprised at how you don't have to go too far to find Cardinals land in Illinois.
No. Well, I mean, you don't have to go too far to find a Packer fan. I mean, obviously, Alec is from Southside, and he's.
It always surprises me how many Packer fans actually live in Chicago.
You think that's a fair weather deal? I always thought that.
It might be now because somebody like Alec's age.
Because like one of my buddies, my best friends, his whole family are huge Bears fans. Shout out to Nick, and he watches this a lot. But Nick's a huge Packers fan, and he's supposedly it's his uncle that is why he's a Packers fan. And I'm like, that's such a cop out. Your whole family is mega Bears fans.
Yeah, it is a cop out. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It might be the fair weather thing.
It could be.
It makes sense.
Yeah, they've had a lot of success throughout my early childhood, so I guess I can understand that.
Yeah, because I sometimes even like the kids I coach, and I realize like they weren't even alive for the Bears Super Bowl.
Oh wow,
that's really weird to me.
That is crazy.
Like I start to have conversations with, and I tend to like talk to them like they're still my age, even though they're obviously not. And then like I'll be like, wait a minute, what I'm talking about, you weren't even alive for.
Well, it's funny because now we have guys. I was the last crew of 1999 going into the league, and now everyone who's from now on who gets drafted is 2000 plus. Ugh. So I think it's a lot weird for these older coaches that they're coaching guys who were born in the year 2000 and on. So, weird stuff.
It happens really quick.
It does.
And then you start dating yourself. I swear I'm not that old. All right. A couple things I want to talk about around the league that I find fascinating. One, you hit on earlier on in the show, how passing seems to be down through these first 2 weeks. You actually had the numbers. I didn't even have the numbers.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating. You see it throughout the league. You kind of noticed that last year scoring was down. Passing touchdowns were down. The first 2 weeks, I don't know the exact number on it. I don't know if Steven has it, but it was 60-something touchdowns the first 2 weeks.
I think the stat I had was in 2021, it was 66 pass TDs, and then week 1, I think, was only 34 this season.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a big disparity there. But I know I've always talked about this. I do think defenses are getting better. They're knowing how to cover things a little bit better. And then they're playing more coverage now. They're daring teams to run it more. I think a team would rather just be like, hey, let's see if you can commit to the run for 30-plus plays a game and see if you lose your patience. And some people do, some people don't. But I think that plays into it. I think the linebackers are now more athletic. You look at the linebackers in the early 2000s to mid-2000s. I mean, these guys are all 250-plus. There's not many of those guys in the league right now. It's a lot of fast guys. I mean, all these backers are running 4.4 nowadays. I mean, I don't think that was the case in the early 2000s. So you got a lot of good coverage linebackers. And then the run game, if you can really lean into it, I think that is where they struggle a little bit because they're just a little lighter now in the box. These guys aren't as big as they used to be. They got more range. But if you got a line and, you commit to the run and, you got the backs to do it, that run game can prove to be really good for you, especially if you commit to it. And I think over the course of the game, you just continually beat up on these backers and these back end guys, and it tends to wear them out. But it has been interesting to see the downtick in passing throughout the league.
Well, that's my kind of football. Just run the ball, wear them out. I love that. And then we can avoid, I think it was like an hour and 10-minute third quarter the other night.
Well, yeah. I didn't know what was going on with the huge break. They said a ref or guy on the sideline went down.
The guy holding the sticks.
Yeah.
He tripped over like the yard marker that was standing behind him.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, we had no idea what was going on. I was at
he seemed pretty
I was at my brother's high school game, and that happened to somebody. Now, I think it seemed a little more severe than maybe what had happened the other night. But I've seen that twice now, twice in a week.
Gotta be careful on the sidelines.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, but the thing I love about football is everything's cyclical. Yeah. So like, you always see these waves. Defense goes up, and then the next coach comes along that figures out a crack Whether it's like
Absolutely.
the Legion of Boom, and then that kind of disappears. Offense goes up, and then someone comes up with the next defense, and then sometimes it's the same defense from like 15 years ago that just comes back to stop whatever they're doing now. So maybe we're just in one of those defensive little pockets.
For sure. And I mean, that's understandable. Again, like these defensive coordinators they get paid too, and they know what they're doing, and they're smart guys, and obviously these defensive players are also very good. So I think maybe we are in one of the pockets, and you might see the run game kind of come back here a little bit. I know we've been in a pass heavy league now for the past 10 years or so. But I think that run game is you're gonna see it kind of come back a little bit.
And then here's the other thing, and I think we touched on this last week too. These kickers are insane right now.
Insane.
Everybody's making 50+ yard field goals like they're just
nothing.
Chip shots.
Yeah. I mean, Houston's kicker the other night was fantastic. I mean, obviously Cairo's been outstanding for us, and you just watch guys throughout the league. There's some damn good kickers.
I would get frustrated though as a defense because I'd be like, oh, we stopped them. Like, they're out of field goal range. Oh, wait, no, he's just going to hit a 59-yarder.
I think that's why the mindset on defense now has changed to you're kind of okay with that. Like, you kind of understand that, hey, they're going to get their first downs here and there at times, but you mainly just want to keep them out of the end zone. And I think we always talk about it, field goals don't win games for you. You got to get in the end zone. And as a defense, if you're looking at it from a defensive side, I think it's a win if you get that field goal. You're able to stop them to a field goal and hope you can either block it or they end up missing it. But yeah, these kickers they're really good nowadays, and especially with the new kickoff rule, you're just starting at a better advantage, you would think, offensively for the most time, especially if it's a touchback.
I heard Jalen Johnson yesterday on the radio say that like he was almost surprised when the game was over when he realized they only gave up one touchdown.
Yeah,
because how many field goals the Texans made, like it felt like they gave up more points.
Because they probably felt like they gave up more yards than they wanted to. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you stop them and they're not scoring touchdowns, defensively you're doing your job.
Yeah.
So I actually just looked it up. League wide this season through 2 weeks, there's only been 12 missed field goals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I bet if you had asked me the over under on that, I would have actually gone under.
I would have too.
It doesn't feel.
You got to think of how many kicks there are.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but I feel like I haven't seen any.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't watch every game because we're busy on Sundays too. But like I just feel like every game I've watched, it doesn't matter the distance. They're just being drilled right down the middle. And like that's the other thing. They're all right down the middle.
And the crazy thing, 2 of those like 12 misses, Justin Tucker, who's arguably the best kicker in the league.
Really?
The last 5-7 years.
So he's missed 2 of the 12.
Yeah,
I think he missed 2 in week 1, right?
I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's try to focus a little bit on this matchup then this week. We got our keys to the game presented by Circa Sports. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. How do you go get your second win in the season?
Yeah, well, kind of going back to the theme the past couple weeks that I've said offensively, we got to establish the run. Obviously, that Indianapolis the past couple weeks, they've struggled against the run. So they're going to be making those corrections, I'm sure, throughout the week. But we got to be able to dictate terms on the line of scrimmage and starting there. And I think if we're able to get off to a fast start, we're cleaning with the penalties. I think that hurt us. That has hurt us the past couple of weeks. No negative plays. We can stay ahead of the chains there. So establishing that run game will open everything else up for us in the pass game and in the screen game and all those type of things. Defensively, those guys just keep doing what they're doing. They've been looking really good. So handling the run game well. They've been playing well in coverage. So that's been really cool to see them do that. Obviously, they got to contain an athlete there that they got at the quarterback position, Anthony Richardson, and confident that our guys on the edge will be able to handle that and do that. And then in special teams, I think Tori's been killing it. I don't know if you, I'm sure you've been watching it. It's been great. Cairo's been killing it. The whole specialist crew has been really great, and the teams unit has been awesome. So they got to keep doing what they're doing. Tori will have his punt and pin situations, and from there, let our defense take over. But the kickers have been doing well, and they got to continue to operate well and operate at a high level. But they've been fun to watch for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, our guy Greg Braggs actually bought me a punting is winning shirt.
That's awesome.
And had you guys pulled out the game Sunday night, I was going to wear it on the post-game show.
The punt and pins are great. I mean, it's great. That's awesome.
There was a sequence in the game the other day where you guys gained 18 yards by punting.
That's awesome.
Because he hit a bomb down there inside the 10, and then defense forced a punt back. Didn't go as far. You guys gained 18 yards.
I love that. That's why we got Torrey. That's why you took him in the 4th round. I love it.
That's why you do it. So there'll be a moment, I'm sure, sometime this season that I can appropriately wear that shirt.
Yeah, that would be great.
After a victory.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And thanks to Braggs for the shirt. All right. Speaking of apparel, I wanted to ask you, because I've seen a couple people on Twitter ask this question. The hat you're wearing,
yes,
that's Jimmy Graham's, right?
Yeah, this is a Jimmy Graham hat. I've had this so people have been asking about this, huh?
Yeah, I feel like you've talked about it maybe once or twice, maybe last season when you wore it.
Yeah, so this is his foundation. I think it's just the Jimmy Graham Foundation. But so this hat specifically, he only gives these hats if you fly on the plane or the vehicle with him. So he's got a couple different aircrafts that he's got in Miami. And when I went out there, I got to fly in the Huey helicopter, which is really cool. And that's this hat. And then on the side here is the N80JG. So 80's his number, and then Jimmy Graham. So it's funny. I went with some friends, and we went up, and I actually took over flying for a little bit.
That's crazy.
Which was terrifying, but really, really cool, and a really cool experience. But the hat reads Death Before Dishonor. So super cool hat there. But I'm sure you guys can all go check out the Jimmy Graham Foundation, and maybe he'll even make an appearance on here at some point soon.
So that was a helicopter.
Yeah, this is the helicopter. Yeah.
I've been on a helicopter twice, and it sounds more terrifying than it actually is. When you're in it, it feels very safe.
Well, when I was in it, the doors were wide open, and I was strapped to the seat. So that was...
and you were driving at one point.
And I was driving at one point, so it was pretty terrifying, but still really cool, and it was a cool experience to do that with Jimmy.
Is he done, like, kayaking across the Arctic Ocean or whatever he was doing?
I can't even keep up. He's kayaking, biking around the world, doing all crazy shit. But that's Jimmy. He's an adrenaline junkie, that's for sure.
It's crazy. He's living life.
Living life.
Yeah, life. Good for him. All right. We usually end the show with a question for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you saw the hit I took the other night.
Yes.
How quickly would you have gotten up after that hit?
Well, Braggs, do you remember what I said when he got hit? I think I blurted out, "Oh no, he's not gonna be able to do the show on Tuesday."
That's funny. No, I did try to sell it for a little bit because it wasn't like a head-to-head thing, but I mean, he got me clean. That was a clean hit.
Yeah.
And then got to the ground, and I did have to take a second because I was like, "Whew, man, that was quite the hit there." And they did throw the flag initially, then they ended up picking it back up. But
to answer your question, somebody would have had to probably carry me to the plane to get home. That was a good hit.
It was a good hit. It was a clean hit. It was a clean hit.
Cole, where does that rank as far as hardest hits you've taken in your career?
That's probably the hardest. Now, that being said, I was like fully relaxed. Not that I wasn't expecting it, but I was more focused on catching the football. So like you're not like tensing your body up. I've mentioned before, I think the hardest hit I've taken, head on with somebody was TJ in training camp 2 years ago, where I had to fill a hole, and TJ, and Flus calls him the hitman. They call him the hitman for the reason. He'll light you up. So I filled the hole, and he filled it back, and man, you could feel that thing down your spine. So TJ can for sure hit, but that was a clean, hard hit the other night. That's for sure.
That reminds me of something I wanted to ask you about this week, because TJ is probably going to get fined this week for a hip drop tackle.
Really?
Yeah, on Joe Mixon.
And we're publicizing that here?
Well, I don't know that. I'm just
going, my gosh. No.
I just know that the league is cracking down on this, but I want to get your perspective from somebody who's kind of involved in some of these talks that happen.
On the hip drop thing?
Well, it's tough because first of all, it's impossible to officiate. So like they didn't call a flag when it happened because there's like 4 different things. And
is this just you watching the tape, or is this were people talking about this?
Oh, they were talking about it on the broadcast immediately.
Oh, they were.
Joe Mixon's talked about it. D'Amico Ryans came out and talked about it.
He did. Okay.
Like it's just to be fair. I mean, it's a pretty clear-cut hip drop tackle. At least in my opinion.
This wasn't something you noticed personally and just
no.
Yeah. Okay.
No. This has been a story.
Yeah. Okay.
No, this has been very public. I'm not bringing this up.
Right.
No, for real. I just and you don't have to comment on TJ getting fined or whatever. But I'm just curious, like from your perspective on offense. I don't know. You kind of as a bigger tight end. I don't know if it's happened to you or it would be as much as a factor. Well, it actually does,
because the only way to get us down from behind is to do that. So I went back and forth on it, because at first I was like, how are you supposed to get these guys down? And then, but like, you always want safety implemented in the game. And if it's an unnecessary thing, then like, let's get rid of it. That being said, like, I don't know how unnecessary it really truly is. Like, when you're playing at at the speed we're playing at, I don't know how well you can really control how you tackle somebody like that. And your main goal is to get the guy to the ground. So maybe you're not thinking about that in that regard. I know the way that they've coached it in the building, it seems like, Flus is okay with it because with the rule, because the way that they teach tackling, he doesn't think that it's needed and you shouldn't be tackling somebody like that.
Yeah, he's come out and said, he's like, we don't teach that tackle.
Correct. And so I guess I understand that. I get that. Maybe I'm not the most reputable guy to be talking about this, because I'm not out there tackling people constantly. So, but I definitely empathize with the defensive players that are a little maybe pissed off with it, because it always seems like the rules nowadays are going towards the offensive favor. But for me personally, it's a good thing just for safety wise, and definitely makes it harder for guys to tackle me coming from behind.
Well, and that's why I wanted to get your perspective on it, because I know you're not the one doing the tackling, but you could be on the receiving end of one of those tackles.
Yeah.
And like in TJ's case, you call him the hitman. Watching them play, there's no doubt in my mind he was not trying to do a hip drop tackle.
Right.
It just sort of sometimes, like you said,
out like
how
that.
You have to get in the moment. You're going to do whatever you can to get the guy down.
Right.
So it's not like a dirty play.
Right.
In fact, I think most of them are not dirty plays. They're just. But I also can understand from the league's perspective being like, well, whatever we can do to kind of weed this tackle out slowly.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
I just don't know, like, how many of them do you truly see throughout the year? And the ones you do see usually end up in injury.
Yeah.
It's just it's a hard thing to officiate, obviously, because they didn't even call the penalty, did they, on the field?
They didn't, because you can't. There's 4 points of emphasis that you have to hit to call it.
Right.
And that's impossible to see in real time.
Yeah.
And the league came out and said, we're probably not going to see a lot of flags on this because it's that hard to officiate.
Yeah.
But in this case, like, Mixon's ankle did get rolled up on it, and he missed some time.
Yeah.
But thankfully he was able to get back in the game.
Yeah. Obviously we don't want to see anybody get hurt on the field. We want to keep it clean. That being said, it's a tough rule that, defensive guys will just kind of have to adjust to.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well,
that's it.
Good stuff. We want to make sure people are subscribed and check out your new your new collection.
Keep the subscriptions going. Check out the collection. Obviously, all the proceeds, again, are part of the proceeds of the 85 collection will go towards Special Olympics. So please go check that out. A lot of cool gear. But continue to subscribe. Send this to friends, family, whoever you got. Tell them to check out the podcast. But we appreciate you guys. Been having a lot of fun doing this over the past few weeks. And we'll hopefully see you on Tuesday for Victory Tuesday after Indianapolis Colts.
And as always, the 85 is powered by Ankin Law, injury law made personal. They're here to help. Visit AnkinLaw.com to learn more.